and welcome to our Experience Recovery Conversations. This round of Experience Recovery is talking to the people who are actually doing the do. They're making a difference either operationally or within their communities. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Emily Allen. Emily, just give us a quick intro. Tell us who you are, what you do and where you do it, please.
Yep, so hi, my name's Emily Allen. I'm an area sports development manager and I work for Places for People Leisure.
Okay, and whereabouts do you work? Which area are you responsible for?
So I look after Dorset, Gosport, Eastleigh and the Test Valley areas.
Okay, so that would have been quite a bit of travelling then before lockdown, I guess.
Yeah, it was, but to be fair, I quite like singing in my car and listening to the radio, so that never put me off, so I was fine with the travelling.
Oh, that's brilliant. Okay, fab. So what does that mean when you've got an area that big and you've got that responsibility for something that tends to not always be bricks and mortar? So what sort of things did you get up to?
So when it comes to looking at our areas and our sports development, primarily what I was looking at was our children courses. So that was anything from gymnastics and trampolining to football, tennis, but primarily our swimming lessons with our children. Yeah. That's what I was basing my role around.
Okay, and I guess where you live in your area, actually swimming is really important because you have that brilliant access to the coast and then to the sea, which means being able to swim is actually really quite important, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the biggest things for our swimming lessons, which our parents and the guardians recognise more than anything, is that it's a life-saving skill. It's the only sport that you could do that could save your life one day.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, just enjoy being at the beach, being at the sea. What a fabulous place to be. So, yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, I was very, very lucky. In the first lockdown especially, I just got to walk to the seafront every day, jump in the sea. And I've been very, very grateful. I know I'm very lucky with that, to have that on my doorstep.
No, absolutely. That open water swimming actually has become very, very popular, hasn't it, in the lockdowns, because people hadn't got access to pools. So talk to me then how your role changed then. Obviously in lockdown, there aren't any swimming lessons. We couldn't open our buildings. So what sort of things did you get up to keep your mind occupied?
So one of my personality traits is that I'm a fixer, I'm a solutions person, and I love people. And that's one of the main reasons why I'm in leisure. And I think that's really the main drive for all of us in leisure. So I found it really odd being in a situation when it was just primarily me by myself all day. Right, if I can't be at a site helping people in the community in that way, what can I be doing? So I actually signed up with the Good Sam app, and I then started calling people that were isolated and vulnerable, which was primarily older people. And I have to admit, it was so much fun speaking to all these different types of people from all different types of backgrounds. And, you know, they were so grateful to have someone give them a call and just check in, and they were so resilient. And I had to say after every call, well, thank you, actually, because you've stopped me doing another Zoom quiz or Zoom meeting. So you've really helped me out. But it fulfilled that need of mine that I felt like I was helping in some way. Even if I couldn't change anything massive, I felt I was doing something at least.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And I guess as we moved from lockdown into reopening, your increased dramatically in trying to follow the guidelines, trying to prepare all of those buildings ready for their customers to come back.
That's it, exactly. We had to look at all the different legislation that were coming out, how it impacted us, how it impacted how we operated, and ultimately how it impacted our customer journey. So, you know, for the sites that I looked after, especially, not one pool was the same. Not one building was the same, not one changing facility was the same. So it really was a case of spreadsheets galore, which was fine. And it was working out the configuration of the pool space, how many children we could fit into that pool, what was the capacity for the teachers, and then also how were we going to communicate that to our customers, that their customer journey was going to look very different when they came back to us. So there was a lot of behind the scenes working. But the one thing I will say is that it was such a pleasure and a joy to work with all the team collectively. And that was from our teachers and our coaches to marketing, to our ops managers and the DMs, and to our swim coordinators and sports coordinators. Everyone just really came together because we just wanted to make it work for our customers. And I have to admit, when we reopened and we welcomed the kids back, it just felt like the heart of the building came back again, because they just bring this different energy. And especially this time where a lot of our adults are nervous, and especially parents and guardians. And on one of my sites, when we were welcoming the kids back, I'd look down this row, socially distanced, of course, and you see these parents and you could see in their face that they were nervous. They weren't sure what to expect, but their kids were just so elated to be back. They were excited to be back learning again. And the thing that I've noticed is that if your child feels safe and happy, the parent then relaxes into it as well. So they were actually really great advocates for us. Yeah. So it was wonderful getting them back.
Yeah, and that's brilliant. And yeah, that piece around nervousness of parents, they're nervous anyway at a swimming lesson. You can see the lifeguard in the parent just itching and waiting for their child to have a bit of an issue. So to add COVID restrictions to that must have really driven some of that not paranoia, but that protectiveness that a parent will naturally have for a child. So how did you overcome those types of things?
So we use a lot of marketing tools. A lot of our sites almost did a walkthrough. So they filmed, this is the way that you'll come through. This is how you'll get onto poolside. We sent a lot of emails out. We made a lot of phone calls. Facebook was a real good driver for us because we know primarily a lot of people were on their Facebook and checking it. But also we made sure we had staff available, because nothing is better at communicating and making someone feel comfortable than having a human interaction. So at a lot of our places, we ensured that we had almost welcomers at the front. We had people hovering about during the lessons as well, in case parents had any concerns or questions. And that really just made sure that someone was there ready to answer any questions that they had for them. And we made a fuss of the kids. At one of our sites, I put balloons and bunting up and said, welcome back swimmers on a big piece of paper, because we just wanted the kids to be happy to be back as well. So by making sure we communicated effectively pre the lessons and during the lessons, I think it just gave that sense of ease to our customers. Yeah,
it's really interesting. You talk about that describing the journey before they arrive. My a teaching assistant, and she works with kids that have additional needs, and there's quite a few autistic kids in the classes. And before term started, she actually did a very quick little booklet that had photos in that said, this is the school gate, and this is the door, and this is where you hang your coat, and this is your teacher, and all that type of stuff, to give to these kids that were autistic, because the fear of the unknown is a big issue in autism. And I just said to her, why did you just give it to the 12 kids with autism? Why didn't all 31 kids that entered the class get that? Because actually we all have a bit of that fear inside it. So I think what I'm interested in is those things that you've just talked about, and having to do them effectively because of COVID restrictions and stuff like that. But what are you going to take forward? How are you going to use this new learning and this new growth in your teams to really give a fantastic experience going forward when we come out of this pandemic?
Well, it's interesting. I think, as I've said before, the reason why a lot of us are in leisure is because we love people. But I think sometimes we rely a little bit too heavily on social media, and maybe we forget the importance of actually having face-to-face conversations. So I know a lot of us have actually kept these placemakers in position during lessons, so they can be there to have these conversation pieces with the parents and guardians. And also with our customer journeys as well, we've really learned that where maybe we might have had an airflow issue or a congestion issue due to COVID restrictions, we've almost staggered timings. So we've had like a main pool start on the hour and half hour, and teaching pool on a 1/4 and 1/4. And we've just looked at it and gone, that just makes their journey so much easier anyway. So we're going to keep that. So it's been challenging, and it hasn't been an easy road for any of us, but there's definitely learnings that we've come back from this. And actually, I feel this has really reignited a lot of us to go, we are here because we want to be here for our communities. So that doesn't mean that we're stuck behind our desks all the time, that we're at work. We get up and we talk to our customers more, and our customers really appreciate that, and the kids as well. The kids, I keep saying it, but the kids are just the best advocates for what we do. And they are the ones that we really need to make sure we are here for their journey, because they're our next wave of adults. We want to be here for their physical literacy, their socializing skills. And as I say, they can make their parents feel at ease, which then makes their parents want to come back to us as well in their own terms. So I think just keep that communication up, have that face-to-face conversation more so than ever. And whatever we've done to ease a journey, let's keep doing that for our customers.
No, absolutely. And we've talked a lot about swimming lessons in here, but of course your remit is much bigger than that. The sports courses, the gymnastics and things like that. So have you found any new ways of interacting with maybe your junior gymnasts as well?
So it was quite similar in the sense of talking about our customer journey and how we would communicate to them. I mean, I'll say BG have been amazing in what they've done to support our sites. They've been incredible. You know, they've looked at the lesson plans, what they could do, because, you know, with all of these physical literacies that they're learning, a lot of the time the coaches would be there to support them or help them up. But obviously we couldn't have had any of that. There's that distance learning now that's happening on the floor. So that BG have been an incredible support for our sites, and actually the coaches have had to learn to develop their skills in a slightly different remit than what they would have done before. So the kids again have had to learn from a distance way, and almost for them to challenge themselves in a different way than what they would have done before as well.
Yeah, I set up a hockey club just before lockdown, which was just a bit of a mistake. We had about 8 weeks, I think we got before we locked down again. But, you know, my daughter and I have just been doing little practices that we film on a weekend and we share with our players. So they've got something they can learn and practice. And it does make you think differently. It makes you think differently about the way you deliver a practice, the way you communicate with people. It's been very impressive. And you work for a big organisation. Places Leisure operates a lot of sites around the country. How are you sharing the good practice? How is that sort of percolated through the business?
So we have a platform that we can send our good news stories into, which every employee is able to access. We have a lot of our Safety Blast news on there as well. And it's a really good way of people to say in their own words what they've done and how it's worked. And actually more so than ever with COVID and it ticking along and it building up, our teams were working together to say, look, if this happens at this site, this is what we need to be doing. If you fall into this tier, this is what needs to happen. So it really has made all of us collectively come back together, whether it's via Zoom meetings or on our platform that we share our best practice. And it's really, as you say, for working for such a big organisation, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. If we know it's going to work, we're going to share that with everyone. But the beauty of what we do is that we do operate in community-based facilities that are all different shapes and sizes. So there has to be an element of tweaking that we can do, but we share it with everyone. So I am very grateful that we are in that position where everyone learns off each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, I think, is a really good point to finish, because it is about that growth together, and it's the whole point of these conversations is getting people to think differently. So I'm going to tag you in, I'm going to tag Places into the social media post, so if people are interested, they can get in contact with you directly, Emily. So thank you so much for your time. Really, really lovely to see your excitement around the development of kids' activities and physical activity. So thank you for your time, and I'm sure we will meet again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.